The cast of Descendants recently celebrated 5 years since the first Descendants movie. They may still be in touch because they became genuinely great friends while filming the trilogy, or they could be in touch because there's still hope for another Descendants movie. Well, some of them have been talking about the possibility of another franchise. Riveted has all the details. The last scene of Descendants 3 ended with Carlos racing toward the Isle of the Lost alongside Mal, Evie, and Jay, and though it didn't necessarily suggest a conclusion, you might have noticed something missing. In the previous 2 Descendants films, the final scene ended with the line, "You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?" In Descendants 3, that final line is conspicuously missing. However, we still believe that it wasn't the end of the story. One of the cast members who had been dishing about the possibility of another movie is Sarah Jeffrey. By the end of D3, she was one of the most beloved characters, mostly because her solo, Queen of Mean, blew our minds away. Sarah recently released her song, Even the Stars, and while talking about the song in interviews, she also talked about Descendants. In one of the interviews, she said, "I feel like Descendants 4 could totally happen, but also a spin-off could happen with new characters and new daughters and sons of princesses and princes and other villains. You really have endless possibilities there. I will be forever grateful for Descendants and the family I made there and the experiences I had, so I would love to do something." While speaking about her character Audrey, Sarah Jeffrey said, "She's kind of gone through everything. She's been the mean girl, she's been the heartbroken girl, and I just kind of want to see her be friends with people. If Audrey were to exist in another iteration of Descendants or another movie, I think that it would finally be nice for her to be a gal pal, be nice and cool, and I think that would be awesome." Clearly, she's still willing to do another Descendants movie, and we'd love to see her in action, especially since we are still hung over Queen of Mean. Another person who is very open to the idea of doing another Descendants movie is Mitchell Hope. When asked if there was a possibility that Disney would make a 4th movie, Mitchell said, "It's a great franchise, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of. There are a few things that I don't know yet. At this point, I haven't heard anything, but I love playing Ben. He's just such a pure, benevolent character. It always makes me feel nice, kind of changes my behavior. When you play a character, you kind of subconsciously start adopting a few of those traits, so it was always really nice playing Ben. On our end, we were hoping to see the wedding between Ben and Mal. We know you are also longing for that royal wedding." And yet another person who has been giving out clues since D3 aired is Dove Cameron. However, Dove admitted that she had mixed feelings about starring in another Descendants movie, especially after Cameron's death. Last month, the Descendants star, as well as many others, paid tribute to Cameron Boyce on the 1-year anniversary of his untimely death. As you may recall, Boyce died suddenly in his sleep on July 6, 2019 at the age of 20, after suffering a fatal seizure amid his ongoing struggle with epilepsy. His passing left an emptiness in the hearts of many of his co-stars. In one of her previous interviews, Dove said, "What happened was so incredibly heart-wrenching for all of us and something we could not recover from. And so I think that the idea of making another movie, while it would be nostalgic for all of us, and while it would be healing in a lot of ways, it might also be super wrong. So it could go either way, and it depends on how we're all feeling, and I think that the beautiful thing that Disney has done is that they have very much created a safe space for the cast to be wherever they're at. They canceled everything when Cameron passed, and I know they want what's in all of our best interests, so we'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see." She previously told Yahoo that the films are a way of keeping Cameron's memory going. She said that the films make her feel like Cameron is still here when she watches them. She also said because of Cameron's involvement in the series, Cameron Boyce can live forever in us each time we experience a Descendants film. In another interview, Dove told Entertainment Tonight, "Yeah, I do think there is a world where a 4th Descendants movie happens. I don't know anything for sure, but I definitely don't think that it's an impossibility. There's nothing that I can say for sure, but I definitely can say that it is not out of the question. I don't love the idea of doing it without Cameron. I don't know what the plot would be, and I don't know what it would look like, but I also love the franchise, and I love Kenny, and I love Disney, and I love that cast. I love that time in my life." A few months later, Dove Cameron said there was actually something in the works. She exclusively said, "I may or may not have heard something about something that I might be doing involving the franchise. I would never say that it's over, but I would also never confirm anything at this time. I would be open to doing more." To be completely honest, as an actor who is not beholden to Disney, I would say that I think it would be smart for them to capitalize on the brand that they created. I think it would be smart to do maybe a spin-off with maybe the younger characters. I know that Disney's been very specific about saying that this world doesn't really ever end, it goes on forever, and the possibilities are endless. In February 2020, Dove Cameron was asked again about the possibility of Descendants 4, and this is what she said. "I have to be so careful with how I say this because I've said it wrong so many times. I don't know if there will be a Descendants 4. I have not signed on for anything. I don't think anybody has. I know that it's something that isn't out of the question, but that's not being promoted by anybody. I think it's just kind of an open conversation. There are no details, but I definitely don't think the franchise is dead. I guess I would say. Whether that goes on without us, I don't know. Could be anything." Very recently, in July 2020, Dove talked about a possible Descendants reboot again, and she explained why it would be hard without Cameron. She said, "Obviously, it would be really, really hard on the cast to do a film without Cameron. I'm sure there's a part that would feel very healing and very much like we're coming home. It's very much a personal kind of experience, so I think it would be healing to come back to it like a homecoming, but also I think it would be really hard, and I don't know if we would be up for it." Sofia Carson has also been open about a possible fourth installment, but like Dove, she can't imagine doing it without Cameron Boyce. In one of her interviews a couple of months ago, she said, "It was magical from start to finish. It was my first job. It was my first movie. It was one of the greatest honors of my life to play Evie and be part of this franchise. We've had this privilege of touching hundreds of millions of kids. It's part of Disney history. We will forever be a part of this fairy tale. It's such a big universe. This could go on forever. There's so many Descendants. As far as the original Descendants, I don't know if there's more. For us, it's hard to imagine doing anything without Cameron. That's where our heart lies. But it's open to so much imagination. I can't even think about it. The thought is too difficult." However, when she was recently asked if she would love to reprise her role as Evie, Sofia said, "Absolutely. It would be such a privilege to continue that story. Evie gave me so much. She's just this gift that keeps on giving. She brings so much joy to my life, so I would love to." It's not just the cast members. Crew members have also spoken about the possibility of another Descendants movie. Stephen Vincent, Vice President of Music and Soundtrack at Disney Channel, told Variety, "I think everybody would love the franchise to continue. It's just been, what is the main storyline? Or is it a new storyline? I think everybody believes in the power of the Descendants franchise, but also the possibilities. There's a lot to explore for sure." The only person who thinks that another movie is not likely is Kenny Ortega. He said that he'd come to the end of the franchise and there was no possibility of D4, at least not one directed by him. Well, he said the same thing about High School Musical 10 years ago, but we eventually got another High School Musical production. Last time we saw a High School Musical was in 2008, and if it came back, there's definitely hope for another Descendants movie. Descendants 3 has been said to be the final film in the series, but with so many reboots happening, we're still holding out hope that we'll be back to Auradon soon. It felt like the end of the journey for the core four, but just because we probably won't get a Descendants 4 that is a continuation of the original trilogy story, there is scope for Disney to continue the series if it wanted to. It's already got an expanded universe outside of the trilogy of movies, including various books that fill in the gaps between movies, animated spin-offs, and live-action short films such as Under the Sea and Audrey's Royal Return. Based on the cast members and their tearful goodbyes to their characters, the third installment was most likely the last in the series for them. In May 2019, Dove shared a series of pictures on Instagram alongside a caption that claimed she had just recorded her last song for Descendants. Before the premiere, Sofia Carson shared a picture of her character Evie and wrote a letter about her time in Descendants. The other actors also paid tribute to their characters on various social media platforms as soon as they wrapped production. However, the third movie also introduced a new crop of younger VKs, including Dizzy, daughter of Drizella Tremaine, Celia, daughter of Dr. Facilier, Squeaky and Squirmy, twin sons of Mr. Smee, so we could well catch up with them as they settle into life in Auradon. A stage adaptation of the Disney Channel original movie series was also made available for licensing in March. It was reportedly based off all three of the movies and would contain old songs, which would be adapted by Madeline Smith and orchestrated by Matthew Tischler, as well as new tunes, which would be written by Nick Blaemire. The cast members have also been popping up on fan Zoom classes as a sign that all was not lost. On June 22nd, Dove Cameron and Sofia Carson dropped in on a Zoom cast reunion to surprise the Leavenworth High Theater class. It was the first time the cast got together since they performed the pilot production of Disney's Descendants, the musical, earlier this year. Dove and Sofia gave the students some great advice and words of encouragement during the call. At the end, the cast sang their theater version and a touching rendition of Space Between. Descendants star Sarah Jeffrey also surprised a first-grade class at Bedwell Elementary School in New Jersey on Zoom during their last week of distance learning. She heard the class was a big fan of Descendants and they were struggling with the new distance learning format. She congratulated them on doing their very best in school, stuck around for some fun questions, and wished them a happy summer. As we continue to wait for another franchise, all we could do is come up with ways that D4 could continue. In Part 3 teaser, we saw the black magic and how it destroyed Jane's cake. The black magic was supposed to invade the land and cause unimaginable chaos. However, in the franchise, it wasn't seen. If the black magic never happened, then where could it possibly be? In Descendants 4, perhaps. Check out our channel for more Descendants theories, rumors, and emerging news. And remember to subscribe to stay up to date on your favorite stars. This has been Riveted.
you.